previously, if customs believed that something was sketchy, then they would have to prove that it was sketchy. A lot of times they just didn't have the manpower to do that. Now, if it fits the criteria, they think that something looks sketchy. With this update that happened in April 2026, specifically for human growth hormone, customs can just pull the package and stop it right there. And the burden of proof now shifts to the shipper. Dave, good to have you back, man. It's been a while.
It's not been a while. It's been a week.
It's been forever. I missed you.
Not one message. Nothing.
I messaged you.
How you doing? How's France? Nothing. Not one message. Nothing.
I think that's not true.
I think that's very true.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast with Dave Crosland. I'm Scott McNally, and all of our programming is brought to you by Strom Sports Nutrition. They have great health stacks for the U.S. and the U.K. Check them out. We're brought to you by SupplementSource.ca for Canadians. Check them out for great deals that change week to week. TrueNutrition.com. Use our code THINK over there to get 10% off all your basic bodybuilding supplements. Of course, go to evalbloodanalysis.com and get your labs done by Dave if you're in the UK. And, of course, Patreon, last but not least, we're brought to you by you, the guys that support the show through Patreon. You guys are making this thing happen. We've got some Patreon questions. We've got a bunch of listener questions. We have an update on the growth hormone shortages and one of the aspects of why that's happening. Dave, good to see you again. We had the week off while you were gallivanting around France. What have you heard? You said you've seen some gear shortages in the UK right now. Tell me about that first.
So, first of all, we are seeing loads and loads of testing come back as low.
Yeah.
I'm on X amount. No, you're not. Blood support that you're not. And I've known a few suppliers that have been saying just they haven't got anything. Last week, I had a supplier message me to say that they now have test SIP available.
Okay.
Which they haven't had for ages, but it is expensive.
Okay.
Just let me silence this. She was quoting 17 a kilo.
What's the normal price?
1,000 less.
Okay.
So I know someone that bought 12 kilos and got it down to 1,200 kilo, but it does seem that it is going to be more expensive.
Okay.
And then I've had a few people UK-wise say that they're struggling to get all the growth, and what they are getting is crap. Now, how legit that is, I don't know. But so there does seem to be some effect on the growth here. But whether that's just because it's affecting you and people over here are panicking,
yeah,
I don't know.
So I did talk to a supplier. He sent me a screenshot from one of his guys that said, can I place an order? And he said, you can, but U.S. Customs is strict. Shipment time needs to be 20 to 40 days. Can you accept this? He said, because the previous shipping routes were inspected and the agent was arrested by the police. No agent dares to use express delivery directly now. So that was one report. But here's the thing, and I want to thank Lewis again, who sent this information over to us. Well, before I even get to that, I want to tell you, Vigorous Steve got roasted by his viewers the other day. He talked about shortages on gear, right? He was like, yeah, we're seeing shortages. And he got the same thing we've gotten in the past, where there were a bunch of people that were like, you're wrong, bro. Everything's just fine. My sources got everything in stock. We were talking about that on text the other day, so I went over to his video and I looked at it, and there were a bunch of people that were giving him crap about that. He said that there is a shortage, specifically. So here is one thing, and I dug in to find a little bit more information about it. By the way, Dave, did you realize that we have been doing steroids in the news for almost a decade now? We are literally the first podcast to share this kind of information. So I thought that was kind of cool. But yeah, check this out. So supply testosterone. This was a release from Pfizer, because he said, what he told me, Steve told me, he was like, yeah, Pfizer said that SIP isn't around. So this was back in October through December 2025. They were letting the people know that.
I remember that. Yeah, there was a shortage over here as well.
So yeah, there was this shortage. I wouldn't be surprised if that's somehow affecting, I mean, if they're dealing with it, you know, my thought is that if Pfizer's dealing with a shortage, then the UGLs are certainly, but that's not our main thing. Our main thing is this. There is an update. U.S. Customs is basically cracking down on HGH, and this is where I'm going to say shout out again to Lewis. I think he sent me a link. I couldn't find where he posted that, but I did some digging on my own, and I found this. This is an important alert, 6671. So from 2012, the FDA had put an alert out saying that basically we need to be on the lookout for unapproved human growth hormone entering the United States. Now, in this update, there's been a change to their policy, DWPE, and that means the detention without physical examination. So here's where things change. Previously, customs don't need to test packages anymore in order to stop a parcel or a package or a shipment from going through. So previously, if customs believed that something was sketchy, then they would have to prove that it was sketchy. And a lot of times they just didn't have the manpower to do that. Now, if it fits the criteria, they think that something looks sketchy. With this update that happened in April 2026, specifically for human growth hormone, customs can just pull the package and stop it right there. And the burden of proof now shifts to the shipper to prove that it's not what they think it is. It used to be, hey, you know, innocent until proven guilty. Now, if you're kind of red flagged, and that's going to be specific countries of origin, specific products, or suspicion of it being a specific product, all this related to growth hormone, at this point now, they can pull it aside and say, you know, we're just going to hold it until you prove otherwise. So that's kind of a big change. And we're seeing it in effect now. You know, we talked a little bit about that whole bust in Chicago where all that growth hormone got seized the other month. I think it was like also in April, about the time that this came out. There was another bust we didn't talk about in Cincinnati. This all coincided, and a lot of it has to do with GLP-1s, where 5,000 unapproved peptides. And basically what they're seeing is there's a big shipment, and within that shipment, there's smaller packages that are already pre-addressed to get distributed throughout the United States. So they're basically going to a reshipper. And there's been a couple of big busts. We talked about it before that I think GLPs are a big factor here, but it looks like based off of this new update, they're actually also going directly after growth hormone now too.
Yes.
So
I mean, the one thing that I didn't realize was how long it took supply chain issues to filter down to product issues. And there's probably...
You mean to like the end user?
Yeah, and there's probably a good 2-3 months between hearing about supply issues to actually seeing the results of that in people's blood work.
Yeah.
I suspect it's probably, if things are starting to move a bit again from the point of view of having these messages about SIP being available now, then that would suggest that we're probably going to be a good couple of months before we start to see what's in the marketplace back up to a decent quality.
Yeah. So what we don't know is, does the FDA have, with the growth hormone stuff, do they have specific manufacturers and shipping channels on a detention list? So they basically have like a red list. And then if anything's on that red list, and a lot of times even country of origin is already like part of you ending up on that list.
Yeah.
I did search, and for other drugs, they do have information about like actual companies that are on the red list. And there is a part of the website you can go to that if you're on that detention list, you can try to apply to get taken off of it. But yeah, I mean, all of this is, besides the red list, they're also... They're trying to say that this is to protect us from unapproved and possibly dangerous drugs. So that's, I guess that's always the thing, isn't it? Protect us from ourselves.
Looking out for us, sir.
Yeah. So what are we going to see with this? You know, probably longer delivery times based off of what I saw in that one conversation. Prices may go up. We may see shipping to other countries, which then ship into the United States, that would deal with the increased transit time. And we're going to see more seizure letters. I guess the time will tell. I'm hearing a lot of people who are not getting their orders on growth. So anyway,
bad times.
Yeah. Well, Dave, good to have you back, man. It's been a while.
Bad times. It's not been a while. It's been a week.
It's been forever. I missed you.
Not one message. Nothing.
I messaged you.
How you doing? How's France? Nothing. Not one message. Nothing.
I think that's not true.
I think that's very true.
I could screen cap all the times that I messaged you.
When?
No, I did message you once, I think. It was just, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't want to bother you, man.
I even sent you the link to the new YouTube and everything, and you never said anything.
You sent me the link to your... Oh, yeah. So, are you posting on that?
No, didn't bother, didn't say anything.
I followed you on Instagram, and I told you. I was like, hey, that's really cool. You had just shot one video, and you're like, hi, I'm Dave. This is my wife, Shauna. We're on
I hate doing videos like that.
You actually
you
did good.
We were on the Channel Tunnel, is where we were.
That's what it was, yeah.
So you really watched it, didn't you? Yeah.
We're in a tunnel. We're going to France.
Yeah, so you moan about me not paying attention in the podcast, yeah? And it goes both ways.
Have you posted anything since, or was that the only thing?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of videos. I don't do it. Somebody else does it.
What's it called?
I've no idea. Cafe
Yeah, real good.
Yeah. I've sent you the link.
Real good.
Yeah,
all right, guys. I'll put the link in the description.
No, don't bother now. You've ruined it.
Guys, we have a bunch of listener questions. That's how we basically do this show. We answer your listener questions. You guys have questions. We answer them. Sometimes people tell us just get down to the business. We don't want to hear your banter. We don't like your banter. We just want to hear you guys.
Say that.
We did have a guy who was like, there's too much talking on this show.
Oh, you can fuck off. Cafe Desproges. So CAFEDESPROGES. There you go.
How are you going to remember to spell? What the hell is that?
So basically, the history of the building was that the family that owned it at some time was the family of a guy called Pierre Desproges, who is an extremely famous French comedian and very well liked. He was quite controversial.
Okay.
In a good way.
Can you relate to that?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Some of the shit he came out with was quite good.
You guys know that I've always been a whey isolate guy. Like through contest prep and everything, I always isolate. Yes, it's top of the line. It's the cream of the crop, very expensive, but I always said, hey, it's worth it because whey concentrate is going to wreck my stomach. It's going to turn me into a biological weapon, basically. But listen, protein prices are getting crazy. I figured, all right, let's test this stuff for myself. I started using whey concentrate from TrueNutrition.com this past month, and honestly, I was totally surprised. Digestion has been perfect. No bloating, no stomach issues, and most importantly, no deadly protein farts. So if you've been avoiding concentrate like I was, well, this might actually be worth trying, especially if you want to save some money. Use our code THINK over at TrueNutrition.com. Get 10% off their already great prices. All right, well, listen, guys, we got a bunch of listener questions. You're welcome to jump into the live stream or comment on YouTube. Plus, comments, likes, all that stuff. It helps to boost our content in the algorithm. We'll keep you posted as anything comes up, anything new. You know, like I said, Dave, we've been doing steroids in the news now for just about a decade. It's only been in the last couple of years that people have actually been interested in that segment. Before, people didn't care. So if you guys want to hear more of that stuff, let us know. Big fan of the programs. I've gone back and watched almost every episode. Question for the next episode. I know you guys have spoken about pivots during cycles, but could you break down more details about how and why in relation to goals, compound selection, and duration?
Pivots? I'm confused.
Okay. Here's what I think he's coming at is like, when do we make changes? Honestly, your ideal cycle is just going to run in the background. We're not going to have to think about it. We're going to use compounds that agree with you. We're going to be able to run those compounds for however long the cycle is going to be. And we can then focus on the training, focus on the nutrition, and use those things like pivots. When do we need to change the cycle up? Honestly, like if things are running well, we don't really need to change a lot. I mean, if you're coming into a contest prep, there's going to be some added compounds. It really is situational, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I do have varying cycles, but I have them progressive, but that's all. I don't change them for the sake of it. I start low and then I build up to a peak dosing for a 6-week period at the end.
Yeah.
In general, not always, but in general. But yeah, I mean, there's the only reason you would change is if generally speaking, is if there was a problem, because it's all's going well, don't fix what's not broke. You know what I mean? Just leave it.
Yeah. Yeah, only pivot, this is from Chicken Burrito 3. I like his name. He says, only pivot I can recall is when you guys have said that you might shut it down due to bloods or side effects.
You know what? When people have names like that, it makes me wonder what happened to Chicken Burrito 1 and Chicken Burrito 2.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I can't. Were you banned? Is that why we're on free?
It's a good question. Okay, guys, 100% serious question here. Is there a reason when going back to TRT from a small blast, the small blast with 300 milligrams of test P and 300 milligrams of prop, my little guy downstairs, my horn, gets slightly bigger than it was when I was on cycle? His horn, Dave. That's a funny word.
He's on fast acting.
He was.
He changes to TRT.
Yep.
And he gets a libido spike.
He said his horn is bigger.
I don't think he means his dick is bigger. I think he means he's hornier.
No, he says, my little guy downstairs. And then in parentheses, he says, my horn. I've heard people in Canada use that term before.
See, I interpreted that of he gets hornier.
No,
he gets a bigger dick.
No. I've seen it at like Letterkenny.
Well, you've seen people getting bigger dicks. Why are you going down looking at people's dicks for?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
It is what you say. You just said you've seen it.
You know, I've heard on like Letterkenny where he's like, you know, we were making out in the car and she grabbed my horn. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that, but there isn't a size increase. So the only thing it can be is either a harder erection or a more frequent erection or an increased libido. Which, if you introduce a slow acting, you're still... I think a lot of people forget fast acting like prop still has a 3-day half-life.
Okay, sure.
It isn't clearing straight away. So if you've been running fast actings and then you add a slow acting in underneath, you're going to get a little bit of a compounding effect for a short period of time. Because you're going to get the two together. Because what you now got is the fast acting that's obviously coming down, but you've got a slow acting that's staying stable underneath it. So you're going to get initially a little bit of a spike. But that would only be a week's worth, I would have thought, at most.
Yeah, so he's saying, though, he comes off all of that. And then he's got a bigger horn when he's not on gear.
Then maybe it's just an estrogen thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is...
Yeah, maybe it's just an estrogen thing.
Thrown off. Huh.
Maybe it's just the ratios that are changing.
There was a guy who used to podcast. He's kind of a weird dude. Who used to... and he's not with us anymore. I don't even know if I want to say RIP. He caused a lot of drama in the world. No. And he did all sorts of content about penile enlargement, about like things to do to like get a bigger horn. Do you think we could like shift our content into that? Is that what we should do, Dave? Like, you know, get the views? We like have these conversations where, well, Dave, what did you try this week? And did you see any noticeable differences? Okay, interesting.
I use my left hand. Oh, God.
Back to the actual gear content. Love you guys. Love the show. Only found you a month ago, and I've already watched every episode on YouTube. A lot of time on his hands.
Yes.
Didn't hear this in any of the shows, but what are your thoughts on dihydroberberine as opposed to traditional berberine? I was reading you could use less of the dihydroberberine, but never hear you guys talk about it. Thanks so much.
Well, that's definitely a stuff, isn't it? It's not a drugs.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't actually know with there's such a I know there's slightly greater uptake, but I don't know if it's clinically significant or not.
So I can't remember the dosing because I don't really use it. But I know that it is lower. Basically, though, here's the deal. So here's a cap of dihydroberberine is 200. What are we looking at here? Yeah, I haven't used a ton of it. I've had clients, and I'll look at it and see, like, well, what's the equivalent? And then we'll say, okay, let's use that instead. But here's the deal, man. Supposedly, you may get less gastric upset from dihydroberberine. You can use less. So instead of, I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing 200 milligram tablets versus traditional is 500. So you're either taking a 500 milligram tablet 3 times or a 200 milligram tablet 3 times.
Do you see a lot of gastric upset?
Not a ton, honestly.
No,
man.
I haven't seen, for quite a while I haven't seen. I've had the odd client that's been sensitive to it, but for the most part they tolerate it quite well. But I tend to do lower dosing more frequent.
So you've said that before. So 1500 is considered to be like a standard daily dose.
The 1500 is the same, but it's split over more doses with each meal rather than a lot advocate doing one large dose with a high carb meal or a couple where I dose with every meal because my thought process is I want it there when I'm seeing an insulin spike.
So let's talk a little bit about it. Dihydroberberine is a glucose disposal agent. You could really say it's kind of like a natural, it works, natural, healthier version of trying to do the same things we would get from metformin. Not toxic on the liver. In fact, it's even has some health benefits. It's like beneficial for cholesterol and a bunch of other stuff. I've heard you mention that before, Dave, and after you did, I was like, I like that idea. But here's the deal, man. The companies I look at, unless you get it in powdered form, it comes in 500 milligram caps over here mostly. So
you can get it over here in smaller caps, but it's usually not as a standalone berberine. It's usually in a combined product.
Okay.
So like Strom's Glycomax, I think it's 250 or 300 per cap.
Oh, okay.
But they have other stuff in there as well.
Okay.
So
probably like Cholinate or something.
Yes. Okay. I was just not going to try and say it because I knew I was going to get it wrong when it came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
In the pickle little bit. Yeah. So that's would be my normal sort of fall to when I was putting someone on berberine. But yeah, I just like to space it out with every meal. One, it's tolerated better. 2, I think it's more useful in being where you want it at the time you want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do agree that sometimes it is difficult to get the dosing.
Huh. Yeah. I usually will try to spread it out. And one place I don't really put it is pre or post workout if possible, just because training itself is a really good glucose disposal agent, on its own. It is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Chicken Burrito may have left us he might be a Patreon subscriber. Let me know if that's you. Because I have a question here that's the same thing I'm seeing you posted in the comments on the live stream. He says, trying to have a baby, my clinician put me on HCG and enclomiphene plus some peptides. All my health markers improved, but my IGF went down. Test is barely up. And she just increased my HCG, still his LH and his FSH are suppressed.
Well, people, I'm assuming this is the case here, and I apologize, Mr. Burrito, if it is not. Sorry, Mr. Burrito 3, if it is not. But HCG doesn't stimulate LH. It replaces it. The drugs that are going to cause LH and FSH to increase are going to be SERMs, so Clomid and Novadex.
Okay.
So HCG's role is to stimulate the Leydig cells. That in turn increases ITT into testicular testosterone, which then stimulate the Serotoli cells, and obviously the Leydig cells produce testosterone as well. So I'm not actually a big fan of taking people off TRT for fertility if they can't sustain reasonable levels. I think it becomes more negative than it is positive. So HCG is going to stimulate the Leydig cells. It's not going to stimulate LH production. So you're not going to see an increase in LH and FSH from the drugs that you're doing, with the exception of the enclomiphene, because the enclomiphene should help signaling to a degree. He doesn't say whether he's on TRT or not, or she's done it by taking him off TRT. So,
yeah.
Is that a factor in this, Mr. Burrito 3?
It just reminded me, one of our listeners is a fertility specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And he messaged me the other day, it was a couple of weeks ago now, and he's like, hey, you guys do a really good job as far as your talk goes on fertility. He said there's a couple areas I think you could do a little bit better on. Yeah. And I said, well, what were those? And I'm going to see if I can try to sum this up. He says, we actually have really good data about how long it takes to recover sperm count after a cycle because of the basic biology. We know that for someone who is well suppressed, not taking HCG to mimic LH, which I think that's what you just said, right, Dave? You're not actually, okay. It will take 13 to 15 weeks just for the basic biology to cover. Essentially, the low intertesticular testosterone will stop all spermatogenesis, and you will be left with I don't know how spermatogonia. I can't say that word. Basically, the stem cells of sperm. It takes 11 to 13 weeks for new sperm to form and get released in the testes. So it basically, you're looking at it might happen as soon as 45 days if you're using HCG, but you're looking at typically 3 to 12 months to get being back to a fertile sperm count.
Okay. Is that a fertile sperm count self-supported, or is that just getting enough sperm to have babies? Because I've had people get enough sperm to have babies in fucking 8 weeks.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I'm guessing that must be self-supporting.
The time to reach 20 million per milliliter of sperm count, basically the minimum to reliably get pregnant the old-fashioned way. 60% of guys will be there in 6 months. 90% of guys will be there in 12 months. 95% of guys will be there in 18 months. And some stragglers will take 24.
Okay. The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way.
It's shagging old-fashioned now.
With your horn.
Yes.
Dave. Yeah.
Now, I did a seminar. Oh, actually, I was at the National Needle Exchange Conference on Friday.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. And then I was on a panel, which was very short-lived. And then I went down to London and did a seminar with James Hollingshead and Fales at Muscleworks in Orpington.
You're kidding me.
No.
How were the boys?
James is looking good. He's 6 weeks out.
Okay.
Anth is Anth.
Yeah.
Not good for me because I'm half deaf and can't hear half of what he says. But, no, it was good. It was good.
You're supposed to be able to understand your own people.
Yes, I know. It was a good event, actually. It really was a good event. And I fairly enjoyed it as well. But there was a gentleman in the audience you may remember.
Who's that?
Do you remember the gentleman who did the study on satellite cell proliferation?
I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was there. It got published.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it got published. And we were discussing, now the reason that this comes into my head is because we were discussing the possibilities of DNA expression changes through paternal anabolic use.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I've long thought that if the father, and this isn't necessarily a negative, so don't be jumping and thinking it is, that if the father is using anabolics at the time of conception, that the donation, the DNA, not the DNA itself changing, but the strength of the signal from that DNA could potentially change, because we've seen this in epigenomics with environmental factors. When the parents were experiencing harsh environmental factors, it changed the expression of the DNA of the child. And he was saying that there's changes in DNA expression just from training anyway.
Okay.
And there's training around...
Yeah, that would make sense.
There's changes around androgen receptor density with training as well.
Yeah.
That become permanent.
Scott Stevenson, I believe, just talked about that.
Yeah. So,
fiber types even change.
So we got onto this. Yeah. True, yes. Switch and slow switch and all that crap as well. So we got onto this, and he was... From what he knew, which is definitely more than me.
Alex PK, I think was his name on Facebook. Alex.
I can't remember his last name.
Yeah.
But anyway, he came to the... And he was like, yeah, very much so. He does feel that there could be changes in expression from paternal use. Not maternal use, but paternal use. I think it goes without saying that if there's maternal use at time of conception, there will definitely be fucking changes. But paternally, yes, he felt there would be. And we were just talking about, I wonder how you'd get that funded. Where would you go to get someone to allow that study?
Yeah. So Alex was the guy who did the study that helped us see that using anabolics will permanently alter your androgen receptors, meaning like you have more density, was it? Like on the
more
muscle?
density, and you had an increased proliferation of satellite cells that didn't necessarily go. It's what we anecdotally had called muscle memory. Because when you stop training, if you stop providing a demand for the body to maintain the muscle mass you carry, then that muscle mass will be scavenged. It will be cannibalized.
Right.
However, the satellite cells, which are basically stem cells to muscle tissue cells, remain. Yeah. So when you start training again, they convert to muscle tissue quite quickly, which is what we've always termed as muscle memory. You know, that quick comeback when you get back into the gym.
Yeah.
I think his study ran 5 years. I don't think it went longer than 5 years. But after 5 years, they would still see an increase in satellite cells in anabolic users 5 years post-usage.
This crazy because we had him on like as he was launching that and looking for participants, and now it's been 5 years.
Yeah, and so he said he didn't think it got much exposure because it sort of hit the publishing at the time when the transgender argument was big.
Okay.
And obviously that was... This would have said, if you were born male, you would have had a permanent advantage over anybody that was born female.
Right, yeah.
From a point of view of bone structure, bone density, and muscle tissue. But yeah, he seems to be doing well. And he did, he was showing me a study. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent now, but he was showing me a study where they'd studied 100 people doing a cycle.
Okay.
And the net gain of muscle mass in that period was 4.6 kilograms in a 12-week cycle.
Damn.
Doses ranges a bit. I think the average was around 1.2, so a gram to 1.2.
Okay.
But he said within, I think it was 3 months or 6 months, there was an average loss of 1.6 kilos, and I was like, well, yeah, but you could account some of that because it wasn't a DEXA scan, so it's an impedance. So you
drop water,
exactly, water and glycogen, you could easily have seen some loss.
Yeah,
but there was the net gain after a sustained period of time of no more further use of anabolics wasn't great. But I said to him, I said, the problem with these studies is the quantification around training. You know, was the training any good?
Oh, yeah,
Did he maintain that training post usage and all the rest of it? But yeah, it was.
I'd like to get Scott on that study, you know, and see what he has to say about it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but it was.
I'll talk to him. I'll
fairly
find out.
recent. It was 100 people that they studied.
All right, listen, we got a bunch more listener questions. How about this one? Thoughts on IGF-DES? Is it worth it? I personally have never seen anybody get anything out of DES. I just wouldn't personally.
In Krellex, IGF-1 is worth it if you've got the budget to take enough of it. I think the problem is that most people don't. I don't think the peptides are anything measurable, really, against the real thing, definitely. And I think that real IGF-1, so medical IGF-1, yeah, you could, prescription IGF-1, you could just definitely get progress off that. But you're going to be taking a lot. It's going to be very expensive. And from what I've heard, I believe very painful to live with as well. I believe there's quite a lot of discomfort from high-dose IGF-1.
When is Uncle Dave and Scott the movie coming out? Always enjoy the banter and stories.
We start filming, but there is a slight issue with somebody being a diva and wanting certain aspects for his accommodation and trailer and all this sort of stuff.
We did a world tour, if people will remember that. Do you remember when we did the world tour? We had one stop in Liverpool.
We're looking for funding.
Yeah, we're looking for funding. It'll be out on Netflix, guys. Hey, guys, love the show. 44 years old, currently on TRT, injecting daily SubQ, 175 milligrams per week, which has me at 20 nmol. If I want to increase to 350 to 400 milligrams of test for a cycle, would you simply increase daily injections or just add intramuscular 2 to 3 times per week on top of that?
I wouldn't do the daily plus the intramuscular. I would pick one or the other. Personally, I would just go to 2 shots a week, but then people seem to like daily. There's no harm. 400 a week, daily 7. What's that going to be? That's going to be...
I'd just go to...
It's about 50 milligrams a day, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd go to 150 every other day.
So 450 a week to about 500 a week, yeah.
Yeah, or 6, depending on how many every other days you go.
There's only 7 days in a week, Scott. Yeah?
8 days. It'd be 600 every 8 days, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
would more than you wanted.
Yeah, I'd just, if he's doing dailies, he could go up to 50 mg. Which is still quite low volume, so you still get away with that with a SubQ daily shot.
I feel like with SubQ, it takes longer to build up.
Yeah, but he's already got a baseline from the TRT.
Yeah, but he's still got to build the rest of it up, though. I would just go to IM shots, honestly, 3 times a week, something like that. 100, 150, 100, somewhere in there, 3 times.
Your maths is garbage. He wants to do between 300 and 400 a week, and you've told him to do 150 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, if he did, yeah, come on, guys. If you do 150 3 times a week, that's 450. So you split the difference, 125, somewhere in there. I'm not doing math. Yeah, it's only 300, though. We want more than that.
Yeah, but it's not, because you've got an overlap, haven't you?
What do you mean, overlap?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday.
I just do
Thursday,
it. I just go 3 times
Saturday,
a week. Then.
Monday. So 1 week is 3 injections, 1 week is 4 injections.
I go 3 times a week. Then keep it at 3.
You get 300 1 week and 400 the other week, which would average out at 350 a week.
Okay. You guys, but yeah, drop the other.
Drop the TRT.
Yeah. Do you guys think that test, MAST, EQ, NPP cycle for an advanced user is good? I can see the benefits of each of the 4 compounds, but it seems excessive.
What was the last compound?
NPP. NPP,
Right, okay.
EQ, Mast, and Test.
Right, test, master, and EQ. I'd be worried about estrogen management.
Yeah, okay.
I'd probably go Mast or EQ rather than both.
You mean estrogen going too low?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I can see you being in a situation where you're putting in 100 milligrams of EQ. And then you got to sort of go, is there any point?
Yeah.
If you've got 4 compounds, even if you're running 300 of each, you're 1.2 gram. So if you did MPP 100 times 3 a week, you do 300 tests, 300 mass, 300 EQ, that's going to put your estrogen low. So you'd have to bring the EQ down to about 150, or you'd have to bring the test up. And then, and it's sort of like, is it really worth it? So I'd choose either Master or EQ. I mean, I do like Test, Master, and Decker. I do think it's a nice little blend.
Yeah, I do too.
I find surprised no one's actually brought that out.
Yeah.
So there you go. Any lab, I want 10%.
Dave, I'm going to say something here. That we've had so much talk about EQ in the last few years, especially. So much talk about it suppressing estrogen. And we've all began to pay more attention to the effects of EQ on our estrogen levels in conjunction with where our test is. And I think, a big part of that is that more people are using EQ than ever with the Mast shortage, Mast and Primo shortage. I'm going to tell you, though, man, back in the day, we'd run a boatload of tests with a boatload of EQ, and it wasn't viable to get your labs done constantly. So generally,
available, was it?
Yeah, people would get their labs done. I'd get them done like twice a year. That's basically what we would do. So you didn't really check on cycle. Nowadays, man, if I'm running EQ, I have somebody check their labs at 5 weeks in because we want to see where their estrogen is. But here's my point, man. So we're being much more reactive to what EQ is doing to our estrogen levels. But back in the day, dude, I just freaking grew, man.
Yeah, but I also think back in the day, there was a couple of things where we overpowered problems with dosing.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that there isn't a better way of doing it.
No, I agree. But what I'm getting at here is there something more that we're not connecting yet?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
what's happening to estrogen? Because, we're seeing lower estrogen. Is there something more, though, where it's not as black and white as, hey, your estrogen's dropped in the tank now?
I would say yes. But most of the people that I've worked with that have had low estrogen from EQ have also have symptoms of low estrogen that had made it problematic.
Fair enough.
So I would argue that, though I agree, I think there is a bigger picture here. I do think that for a lot of people that the estrogen level management is a concern. I mean, old school cycle, what were you doing testing EQ?
1,000 tests, maybe 1,200 with 800 EQ.
Now, there's not so many people. Most people, if you said that to them these days, they would sort of step back a little bit at that because it's 2 compounds and they're relatively high doses for both. Where if you said 300 of this, 400 of that, 400 of the other, and you had more break, they'd probably be a little bit more comfortable with it. People seem to be quite reluctant to do 1 or 2 compounds at high levels.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why, because I don't think there's any issue with it. But yeah, so I think there may be something in dosing as well. There might be that EQ gets to a certain point where it stabilizes and just doesn't drive estrogen any lower.
Yeah, I wonder, man. Because it can only do so much.
Yeah, so like if you go, the difference between 300 and 500 is a massive drop in estrogen, but the difference between 500 and 700 is nothing at all.
Right.
So I do wonder if there's a possibility of something like that going on. Because we do see that with some of the other compounds.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, man. Is there more to this than we're...
I think there is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there is.
All right. Who would win in a boxing match, a prime Eddie Hall versus a prime Dave Crosland? Now, I've talked to Dave about this, and to quote Dave, he said, I couldn't hit hard, which I think is still, for a 300-pound guy, getting hit at all is going to be hard. Okay, so let's qualify that first. But he said, but I could sure take a hit. Could you take a hit from a prime Eddie Hall?
Eddie can hit hard. That has been proven.
You're thinking about it.
No.
I'm thinking about what it'd be like to get hit by Eddie Hall. But you were in your prime, too.
He hits hard. There's no denying that. That's been proven. He's done it on test machines. He's done it on experienced people. He can hit hard. I don't think he's got great skill as a boxer, but then I don't think I've got great skill as a boxer either. So that may not maybe make much difference to the outcome.
Yeah, okay.
I think the thing, if Eddie catches you, you're going to rock whoever you are. You know what I mean? That's going to hurt. There's no denying that.
Blex is on your side. He said, I've seen Eddie fight. I'd put my money on Dave. How about that?
It's a long time since I've fought. A long time.
Big fan of the program and watched most of the episodes of all of the shows. Question for the next episode. I know you guys... Oh, this is the pivots question. We already did that one.
Come on, Scott.
I know.
You've had a week off. You're better than this.
Here is something that's relatable that you may or may not use. I'm 48 years old, and I train twice per week. Heavy, full body on Saturday, medium weight, full body, higher reps on Sunday. 1.5 hours each workout. That's all the training he does.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this schedule for nearly 4 years, and I keep track of my diet and my nutrition. And thus far, I am roughly 235 pounds at roughly 10% body fat.
Good composition. What height?
That's what working out only 2 days a week has offered me so far. My goal is to see when I can reach 250 pounds at 10% body fat. My profile pic is a fair representation. P.S. My thoughts are Saturday I work type 2 muscle fibers. Sunday I work type 1. And I always lift weights 1 or 2 reps before failure. Thanks. Let me see if I can examine this profile picture. It's just a little tiny circle in the corner. I mean, he's got some muscle on him. He looks like he's probably that 10% that he claims. And he's definitely he's in a tank in shorts, large capped delts. I believe he looks like he's probably, for 235, he's probably 5'9".
Any gear use, and if so, what? Any mention of that?
No mention. But I imagine he's watching our show.
I mean, there are training really, to me, revolves around your ability to stimulate and your ability to recover. I chatted to a guy who's a natural at the weekend. He was training 4 days a week. He dropped it down to 3 days a week, and he's got bigger and stronger off the back of it.
Sure.
Me, I exploded when I went to a 3-on-1 off and trained everything twice a week.
Yeah.
But I wasn't doing high volume. So, there might only be 14 sets for something like chest.
Yeah.
And obviously there was anabolics at play. I think a lot of people undertrain with anabolics. I think a lot of people don't exploit them as much as they could. But then I do think it's a slightly different scenario when it comes to natural genetics. And the range of natural genetics is ridiculous. I mean, we were talking about this at the seminar. You take someone like Sean Tavernier. Sean Tavernier hasn't been a bodybuilder. He's retired as a pro bodybuilder some time ago. He boxes.
Yeah.
And yet he could probably place top 3 in a national final without changing his physique, apart from possibly being a bit leaner.
Yeah.
The guy has so much muscle and carries so much muscle from whatever he does, and that's genetics. So there is a wide range, and what would work for someone like me won't work for someone like you, and vice versa. But I think when anabolics are in play, most people undertrain. I think as a natural situation, then it can be a very different scenario.
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't hear anything you said.
That's fine.
I'm going to be completely honest. I got sidetracked.
That's all right. It's not like I haven't
see.
done it regularly.
I was so Blunt Force Tanya's with us, and I know she competed this weekend, so I was just looking to see how she did. It looks like she looked really good. I don't think it looks like she maybe didn't win her class. But it looks like the girl she was up against was really good too. So anyway, I just wanted to see where she I'm sorry, Dave, I got sidetracked. I won't ask.
Why are you making a big deal about it? You pull me on it every bloody week.
I literally did just tune out. So let me see. We got one other thing here. I think we had one other question. Yeah, we did. We had one other question. So this guy's currently on 150 TRT. He's doing it daily, which already puts him at 1,400 tests. Pretty high responder, he says. I'd say that's pretty average.
150 at 14,000. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a pretty high responder. I'd say that's all right. And then E2 is 34. Says lab work and blood pressure are basically perfect. Planning my first cycle. I'd like to be able to run it for a longer period and maintain good blood work, blood pressure, etc. I was thinking on blood test only initially, titrating up by 50 to 100 milligrams every 4 to 6 weeks, checking blood levels. I also has Primo in hand. If I wanted to run for 20 plus weeks, give or take, how high should I plan to run my doses assuming no issues? Is this impacted by the fact that I've already got a high response to my current 150 dose? So here's the thing, man. I'd say that a lot of times 100 to 125 milligrams put somebody at the top end of range per week is what I've noticed. So for it to be 1,400,
yeah,
yeah,
I wouldn't call that particularly. It might be a slightly slow metabolizer, but I wouldn't call it anything dramatic. Regards his cycle, why fuck about?
What do you mean?
Well, why titrate up every 4 to 6 weeks? Just go up to 400 mg, do a 12-week cycle, have it done, job off, right, move back to TRT. Or maybe a little bit longer, or maybe a little bit less. But why elongate it out with this stupid, in my opinion, go up to 200 for 4 weeks, go up to 250 for 4. What the fuck? Just do it.
Yeah, he's probably a little scared. He doesn't know what's going to happen.
But you're just dragging it out. Unnecessarily. And the health impacts from 200 to 300 are not going to be that much greater at all.
Thank you. Say that again for the people in the back, Dave. That's what they say online. I agree with that 100%, man.
Scott's a knob. So, for the people at the back. It's not though, is it? If you were talking 300 to 700, yeah, there's going to be a different impact. But,
sure,
there's not going to be a huge difference there. So, for me, get your head down, get it done, get off. I think you end up in more difficult problems when you end up in this halfway house where you're not quite there and you're not quite here. And you dither about, and you just don't quite get to where you're going, and then you look at your blood work and it's a bag of shit. Well, it's like, well, yeah, because you've been pissing about where you're not getting as much in the way of response out of the drugs as you could do, but you're getting enough negativity out of the drugs to lower HDL, thicken blood over the period of time that you've exposed yourself to. So if you're going to do it, do it. None of this halfway stuff.
Yep, I'm with that. Hey, what would be a real fast ticket to messing up his lab work would be to add that Primo in.
It would. Yes.
Yeah, run that for 20 weeks and check your HDL out.
No. And that's the other thing. Primo is not an anti-estrogen. Yes, it has that action, but it's not an anti. You don't add Primo to control estrogen. You add Primo if you want that in your total anabolic load. Please, children, stop this. It's not good.
I'm with
it's
you.
not clever.
I'm with you 100%. I think 400 sounds like a great number to go to. And after 4 weeks, I'd check your estrogen levels. And if needed, I would add in a low dose of AI if you're getting any kind of side effects from high estrogen. But honestly, yeah. And honestly, let's look at this too. So he's saying he's never done this before. He's looking at running this for 20 weeks. I don't personally think that's crazy talk, but don't forget that part of running a cycle is also coming off of that cycle and seeing, how you recover from it, how you maintain the progress that you made. So I wouldn't out the gate say, hey, I'm planning for 20. I'd plan for first cycle 12, 16, somewhere in there. And then the sooner you come off, the sooner you'll see what it takes to retain the gains you made. And then the sooner you can go back on and do your second cycle.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a thought. You know what I can't remember, Dave?
Your name?
Some days. It's been a busy couple of weeks, man.
Age, mate. Age.
I can't remember.
To go to the post office?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's the UPS store, I think. I can't remember where we left off with Dave the Fugitive story.
Nor can I, actually.
You talked about going into prison. You talked about getting shuttled around. You talked about being in shots. You told me about meeting Ronald McDonald and him teaching you how to paint.
Yeah. I have a story from shots, actually.
You told us the one about a couple of them. Real crazy.
Rob Roy McGregor, who got sent to Carstairs and came back and said that we can't do anything with him. There was so at shots they have.
I remember. Oh, go ahead. We were going to talk about what you did to train and build muscle. What training was like in jail.
So shots actually had a very good gym. The guy, the screw that ran the gym was into training, proper training.
The screw?
So as a result, there was screw, office screw.
Oh, okay.
So shots actually had an annual strongman competition.
Okay.
Yeah, had a prisoner strongman competition. So they were the gym at Shots was pretty good. And the other thing they allowed us to do was make gym equipment in the engineering works.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Only basic adaptation stuff, but we made a shug frame and some other bits and bats.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Shots was good for the gym.
How often were you allowed to train?
Oh, you'd get 3-4 times a week at least.
Okay, so
Sometimes
it wasn't
more.
just like you didn't just get to hang out at the weight pit all day.
No. So the thing is with Shots, you're on a wing. You've all got individual cells. And then if you need to leave the wing, you have to go under escort.
Okay.
So you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast in your cell. Then you get collected for whether you're going to education or work. You go in your escort to your place of work.
Yeah.
You do your work. Then you go back to your wing. You go into your cell. Then you get let out into the dining room for your evening. Oh, so you go back for lunch.
Yeah.
Then you go for your out lunch, and then you go back to work, and then you come back and you get let out for your evening meal, and then you could go and line up to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Sometimes it didn't matter who was there, you all went. Other times, if numbers were short, like they were busy, then you might be first 8 or first 10 that arrived.
Yeah.
And they had different gym slot times as well, so that different wings weren't mixing in the gym at the same time. And then if you were weekends, you got to go during the day. And then if you were at certain levels, depending on what you were doing, you might get an extra session here or there at certain points. So when I was at Wheelston, I used to teach people to read.
Okay.
And so because I did that, I got an extra gym session a week.
Oh, no kidding. All right.
Yeah. So you get little rewards for doing stuff like. But yeah, no, Shots was a good gym. There was Shots also had basically an induction wing, like a monitoring wing, and this was a fully cameraed section.
Yeah.
That was for people that were coming in for serious violent crime.
Okay.
And they'd stay there for a year and be monitored for a year to decide whether they were safe enough to go into general population or not.
Yeah.
And it used to get a right range of fucking weirdos in there. And there was a kid. Cell door was open. It was free time, so people were moving around the wing. He was asleep on his bed, face down. This guy came in with a smashed coffee jar and basically plugged it into his back like a dozen times.
Oh, God.
You know, stuck it in, twisted it, pulled it out, stuck it in, twisted it out. And the reason he gave was because he said that this lad was going home to his house on a night and shagging his missus.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, there's some really nice people in there.
Huh. Which isn't possible, right?
No, because it's not. It's locked up.
Yeah,
Though I do remember when I was home in prison, my next door neighbour used to fuck off out the window every night and go home.
Dude.
He got caught eventually, but he was doing it for fucking months.
So what happens in a British prison, a British open prison on the honor system where you get caught leaving? Do they just tell you, all right, chap, don't do that again?
No, you go back to closed.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, you go back to closed. You get what they call downgraded. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What about the other prisons? Did they have any, like, was it harder to exercise in any of them? Did they? Because I know in some prisons they don't have any equipment.
Leeds was pretty crap. I think you'd get maybe once or twice a week. Marshgate at Doncaster, the gym was good, but you had all the PTs were fitness freaks. They weren't into weights, they weren't into bodybuilding, they weren't into strength. So they really discouraged lifting.
They wanted you to do like calisthenics and stuff.
Yeah, there were all sorts of stupid shit. And then when I got up to Castle Huntlet, the gym was okay, wasn't brilliant, but there was a lot of access. You could get there quite a lot. And there was a mix. So some of the PTs were okay with bodybuilding and weightlifting and everything else, and some of the PTs were all fitness based.
What is okay? I got
so the problem there, you see, was that the PT department decides what equipment and what they spend their budget on.
Oh yeah.
So if you've got a PT base that's very cardio focused, then what you're going to get when it comes down to spending a year's budget is running machines or cross trainers.
Don't need any weights. Let's do some burpees.
Yeah, exactly. Where if you've got PTs that are into weights, you'll get some weightlifting kit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Castle Huntlet was all right, to be fair. There was a lot of access there because it was open, so there's a lot more freedom. You could move around a lot easier.
Huh. I should have got you on. I did a project called Locked Up in Lifting. It might have been before I knew you. And I had a bunch of guys on, including John Romano, because John Romano did some prison time. And I think that's where he met Dan Duchesne, actually. I think that's where he met Dan. I think it is, actually. But he was telling me about getting locked up in, like, the L.A. County. It was like a high-rise building with no windows. And all they had was a universal machine. And what they'd gone to was, like, they wanted people to not lift weights anymore. Like, they saw, like, there was a movement in the 90s where they thought that we're sending people to prison who then get big and jacked and become super prisoners. They get out, and then now they're even bigger and stronger than they were before. So they discouraged lifting.
When I was in Niagara Detention Center, there was no gym at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what we used to do was we'd get a bin bag, we'd fill it with water.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Then we'd get a T-shirt.
Yep.
We'd get a thread of wool off the blanket, sew the bottom of the T-shirt up,
okay,
put the bin bag in the middle, then wrap the two arms around and tie them in a knot, and that became your handle, and that was your dumbbell. If you wanted a heavier dumbbell, you added more water. If you wanted a light dumbbell, you emptied water out.
And you're not supposed to have that, were you?
No, we had to empty them out after you used them and hide them again.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did you gain any appreciable muscle in prison?
I got lean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lean. I don't know if I really put any. I put a bit on because I mean I came out of prison. Obviously, I'd been natural at this point for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I was benching 3 plates and squatting 4 plates. So I obviously put some on, but mainly I got leaner.
People have, like, everybody on that show that I did, they all said like you wanted to get hooked up with the kitchen, like the people that were doing the food and prep. That's how you could get the protein and stuff.
Yeah, I used to make drawings for tobacco, get paid in tobacco, then pay the kitchen staff to tobacco to get extra food deliveries.
Did you really? Dang.
Yeah. So I spent my prison career drawing people's ugly kids. in return for half an ounce of tobacco, which is because I didn't do drugs. Currency was either drugs or tobacco.
Okay.
And then I'd go and I'd give one of the cooks half an ounce of tobacco a week, and because the cooks were allowed to bring extra food home. And the thing is, what's mad about it all in a way is that the prison knows all this goes on,
right?
And they allow it as long as it doesn't get out of hand. So obviously, when the cooks are coming back from kitchen duty, they're coming back on their own with an officer. So they're coming back with a screw, and he's getting a screw to top of my cell and open me up so he can pass me food. So it's not like they didn't know what was going on.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's like they knew who had the shops because you'd run out of canteen. So just in case people don't know, you earn a wage.
Yeah.
Through working. Now, various prisons do it in different ways. Some have a set amount of money you earn every week. Some have different rates depending on what job you do or whether you're in education or not. Some are low, and some of the open prisons allow you to go and work outside and get a full wage. Others, you get a partial wage. And then you're allowed to spend so much each week on a canteen. Now, when you're in closed conditions, you get a sheet with all the different things on the canteen on. You tick which ones you want. You submit the sheet. They take the money out of your prison bank account. And then 3 or 4 days later, a big plastic bag turns up outside your door with everything you bought in it.
Yeah.
And what's on that canteen list can vary from prison to prison. Some prisons allow protein powder and creatine. Some prisons didn't. It varied. But people would get the canteens and then run out. And they'd want a chocolate bar, or they'd want coffee, or they'd want whatever. So they'd go to the shop, which was for some kid that was hoarding loads of shit. They'd take what they wanted off him, and the rule was it was 2 back for 1. Or you could buy it with tobacco. And tobacco was a big sale thing in the shop. So you could go in and say, right, I want half ounce of tobacco. He gives you half ounce of tobacco, but the next week when you get your canteen, you have to pay him back an ounce.
Oh, okay.
So 100%.
Yeah.
I know of some prisons where it was only 50%, but the ones I were always in, it always was 100%. And eventually what would happen with a lot of people is they'd end up in a load of debt. They'd owe the shop a load of kit. So they would then go running to the screws saying, oh, I'm getting picked on, or this, that, and the other, because they owed money, and they'd get moved to the protection wing out sight of everybody so nobody could get hold of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that went on a lot. And the prison knew about it. I mean, one of the best was Wheelston. They made a load of hooch.
Okay.
That was funny as fuck. And it was literally, they hid it in the main bins on the landings. So the hooch was in a big bin bag in the bottom, brewing, and then there was a regular bin bag over the top with rubbish in.
Yeah.
And so the screws were walking past this beer brewing, or whatever you want to call it, all the time and never realised.
Dang.
Anyway, they eventually took it out and they got ratted and they were fucked. I mean, the lads that were drunk in it were absolutely fucked.
I bet, man.
I dread to think how bad that stuff was.
Oh God. When you got out, what did you do? Maybe that should be our next segment, is like you getting out, because like I feel like we're wrapping this thing up, right? We're like,
okay, yeah. So yeah, all right. Okay, yeah.
Maybe that'd be
next week. We'll do it. We'll do the release and rehabilitation.
Yeah, and what did you learn your lesson? We'll find out on the next episode.
Yes,
Guys,
to be honest, prison was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
No kidding.
No, seriously, it's. I became very much at one with myself in prison. I mean, I had a lot of time to sit and look at myself, and
Yeah.
I'd always had this very conflicting internal fight over things that I'd done that weren't nice or weren't good, and the guilt of that. And I suppose in a way, when I was in prison, I sort of went, right, this sentence clears everything.
Yeah.
So everything I've ever done in life, this is my punishment. Because I did get quite a high sentence for the crimes that I'd done for. Yeah. So my attitude was, right, this is it. This wipes the slate. And I just, it took time. I mean, this isn't a eureka moment. This is happening over a few years. But I just came to the realization that, and it sounds corny when you say it now, but the past was the past. It was done, and there was no point. The problem was I was repeating mistakes because I was still living in the past.
Huh.
I was still beating myself up over past mistakes, which meant I was making future mistakes. So what I needed to do was literally forgive myself. So I sort of drew a line under it. Now, that didn't lighten people I'd hurt or upset, both physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
But what I decided was, I can't keep carrying this around if I'm ever going to move forward. And yeah, I might have been a cunt at times, but I'm still entitled to have a life and be happy. And then I sort of started looking at myself in a very, very honest way, but a non-judgmental way, which was quite weird.
Yeah.
But very refreshing. So it's like, well, yeah, that was wrong and that was wrong. And why did you do that? Why did you do it? What were you thinking? Because you weren't doing that because you wanted to do that to that person. There was something else going on. And I just started looking at myself. I did it in a non-judgmental way. And then I started like, well, yeah, I need to change that. And I want to change that. And then like, how do I do that? What do I do? And I just slowly started to change things. But it was just, I did a total review, but I put to one side the negativity or the positivity, the judgment of it, and just looked at it cold, hard, ABC.
I think we all have to do that with our lives.
Yeah, and I think I sort of became at one with everything I'd done, which is one reason why I find it so easy to talk about it, because it doesn't mean I'm proud of the shit I've done, and doesn't mean that I don't think it had consequences, but because I'm at one with it, I'm at peace with it, it's easy to discuss. If I still had trauma attached to it or guilt attached to it, then it would be much harder to discuss. And there are a few things that are still a little bit sensitive. But in the most part, it doesn't bother me now because I've gone through it. I've processed it. I've dealt with it. I've moved on from it. And I feel I'm a better person for it. Others might disagree, but I don't really care, is the honest answer. I'm quite happy with me.
All right. Well, hey, listen, guys.
Others like that, great. If they don't, well, fuck you.
We'll see if we have anything to finish up on that story next week. And then somebody told me I should cut all those segments out and we should release that as like one epic video. I don't know. So you guys,
you just don't want to do the work. That's
no,
all.
I also don't want to do the work. That is part of it. Yes. Dave, are you taking new clients right now?
I am. Yes. I've had a little bit. I took some on and then had a little bit of a clear out, shufty out, and sort of streamlined a bit. So I have got space available. Yes.
All right. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Send on $1,000 bill. Hi, Dave. I need to be coached. Just drop a message through socials, either Facebook or Instagram. I'll pick it up.
All right, cool. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. Check out Strom Sports Nutrition, US and the UK, both available there. evalbloodanalysis.com. Get your labs done by Dave. Go to supplementsource.ca. If you're in Canada, you get some good deals that change week to week. TrueNutrition.com. Use our code THINK to get 10% off your protein, your creatine, your intra workout, bunch of other great stuff. And of course, thank you to everybody from Patreon. We had some Patreon questions on here today. And for another episode of Drugs and Stuff, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Dave.
Bye.